welcome to episode 214 of
Brutal Battle.
So, this is a familiar voice for people who have been longtime listeners. I don't know how...
It's been a while, man.
Yeah, I don't know how far you have to reach to hear this guy's voice again, but...
What episode is this?
214?
Whew.
But obviously, we're doing a bunch of special episodes in between stuff, so we're actually... I think we're around like 250 for like actual episodes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At this point, so
I feel like the last time I was on was like episode 70 Decasode or something like
so
that.
I did a quick Google through my website for the podcast, and the last episode I found your name coming up in was 91. Wow. So it's been some time. So people who have been listening for a long time will know this is Sean Creel.
Hello.
And people who are relatively new will not know, so here's your introduction. This is Sean Creel.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So Sean's actually bounced around since I've known him from job to job to job. The first job, though, was like...
Make me sound like a job hopper.
Well, no. It's just... I think you started somewhere else, decided, I'm not all into this. I want to do something I actually am passionate about, jumped into beer, and you've been kind of, in my opinion, working your way up the ladder in a sense. So... that's what the movement's been about. So
yes, I started off at first needed to get a foot in the door. I got a job at an awesome liquor store, actually down the street from where we're recording right now. Friendship Wine and Liquors. Had a great opportunity there to really learn the industry, meet a lot of people, and Mike, helped me. Mike, the owner there, really helped me get a lot of connections going and get started. And I was I think last time I was on, I guess I was at Chesapeake. I was a distributor, their AB distributor in Baltimore. And I was part of their craft program. So started on the street, worked my way up to brand manager. And then by the time I left, I was doing all the purchasing and kind of data analytics behind the scenes for the craft side of the business. And now I am with the brewery. I'm about 2 months in. The Bruery. B-R-U-E-R-Y.
Not a brewery. I have that all the time where I say something, I'm like, I was drinking this beer by the brewery. And they're like, what brewery? I'm like, the brewery. They're like, what brewery?
The only one that matters.
B-R-U-E-R-Y. I always have to spell it out. So when you texted me about that, I was like, whoa, because it's no secret. Like, you've known, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the brewery. People who have listened to this podcast, I try not to like make it too known, like breweries that I like really, really am passionate about, because I try and be kind of even keel with a lot of breweries. But I'm in the society, the reserve society for the brewery, and I've been in it for some years. I started with the Preservation Society. I think my first year Preservation Society was 2015, early 2015.
Okay.
So I think 2016, 2017, and 2018 now are my reserve years. Awesome. So the beers, man.
I'm pretty sure you were the second person I texted when I found out I got the job after my wife.
Oh, so. There you go. I was going to say, I hope it was your wife and not like your mom. Because your wife would not be happy hearing that you ranked
she was
under
number 3. Yeah.
I'm number 3. So, actually, you did bring a warm-up beer.
Yeah.
In fact, which I am, like, crazy excited about this beer, to be honest. So, what is it?
Yeah, there are some pretty cool perks of being an employee at the brewery. So, like you mentioned, we have the different society levels. And so, the next level up, the top level is the Hoarder Society, which is a pretty...
it's the ultimate level.
Yeah, it's a pretty limited group. It's invite only, pretty much by the owner of the company. But as an employee, every now and then we get surprise boxes. We get as a perk, we get a case of beer every month.
That's awesome.
My first case of beer came with an extra case of Hoarder's beers. So
yeah, that's a pretty sweet
great way to get started with the company.
Yeah, I would not be mad at that. It kind of reminds me of Trogs. That was the first time that I ever heard of that kind of perk with a brewery.
Oh, okay.
Every single month, people get a case of beer from Trogs, and they could choose. I don't think when I knew about it, they weren't doing like mix anything. It was just like
pick a case.
Yeah, pick
Gotcha.
a case of one type of beer. But that's pretty sweet because
Yeah,
obviously
our case is basically just a random assortment of whatever the guys in the warehouse decide to give us for the month.
Even better.
Sometimes it's part of our stuff from our core portfolio, like Horchata or Mischief, and then other times it's Grey Monday, Wine Barrel Aged Black Tuesday. Like it's
man, I still haven't tried that Wine Barrel Aged Black Tuesday yet, but very excited because they started putting it in 375 milliliter bottles as well as the 750s. Because one of my biggest gripes with the brewery had been it was like all large format bottles all the time, and I was like, look, like that's good for like I don't know, like their funky saisons. Like, that's fine. I can sit down and do a 750 of that. But when it's Black Tuesday, which is like basically 20%, I can't do that by myself. So having the ability now for them to go down to the 375 is great.
I think from a marketing standpoint, that was a great format for us. It was consistent. Everybody knew, like, when you see one of those bottles, that is the brewery. It stood out on the shelves. But the market's been changing a lot, and like you said, you need to have a party to pop one of those beers open. Yeah. So we started doing a lot more of the 375s, and now we got a canning line up at the Clean facility. So and might be working on getting a canning line for the sour side too, which I'm very excited about.
Sour cans? Oh, I can get down with that.
Could be a thing.
I could really get down with that. Tart of Darkness in 16-ounce cans.
I don't know about Tart of Darkness. We'll get there, but I think some of the lighter sours, possibly Frucht and Orchard Wit, we're looking at the possibilities of doing those in 4-packs. So.
Yeah, those Frucht beers are awesome. What's been my favorite one? I think the apricot I liked a lot.
Okay.
That may have been my favorite one to date. The apricot was really something special. Passion fruit, too. Passion fruit was really nice.
Yeah, I was drinking that a little bit earlier tonight at an event.
Speaking of sours, though.
Yeah, so the beer that I brought tonight, this is actually... Whoop.
Oh, good.
This is a variation of our Sour in the Rye. It's been aged in rum barrels on top of pineapple and coconut. So,
oh my god,
little tropical explosion there. So,
like pina colada ish, type deal. So, I like Sour on the Rye. Sour on the Rye is nice, and there aren't that many. Actually, I'm not sure if there are any other like sour beers with rye in them that I'm aware of.
I don't know.
This might be the only one, and I just feel like the rye gives it a cool character. Just pour a little bit for us to start out. If you notice, I got a Reserve Society glass for you to drink out of.
Proper glassware, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. That way, if you tell Patrick Rue he can listen to this episode, he's like, oh, wonderful, he's using his society glass. Like, yes. So
I'll have to listen first and make sure there's nothing I'll get fired for.
So I will say, of sour beers from the brewery, not like the crazy ones with all sorts of extra stuff that I do quite love, but like more basic. Tart of Darkness is my favorite of like normal offerings.
Yeah.
The Sour in the Rye is actually Erica Kalasnik's favorite, Rebecca's sister.
Oh, okay.
Sour in the Rye, she loves it. So whenever I get variants of Sour in the Rye, I'm like, all right, got one for you. So I always share those with her.
It's actually the first time I've ever had a variant of the Sour in the Rye, so I'm excited.
Variants have been good. I haven't had any bad variants. So it looks like a sour beer. It's very brownish, orangish.
Yeah.
Sorry, the lighting's not the best right here. So
yeah, it's like a copper orange color.
Ooh. I get a lot of barrel character in the nose.
Yeah, very woody. A lot of tannin character.
Ooh, yeah. It almost makes it smell like grape must in a way.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like red grape, like very, very tannic, which I'm assuming is coming from the wood from the barrel, but it's making me think red wine grape. It's crazy.
I get a lot of coconut.
Yeah, I definitely get coconut. A little slight like pencil shaving note in there, which I think is like the wood and the tannin coming together. There's a little bit of
a really good descriptor. The pencil shaving, like when I'm thinking back to elementary school, like turning the pencil.
Yeah, like people even use pencils anymore, honestly. They don't.
just that like really, really light, pleasant, woody character.
Yeah. There's a little astringency in the nose. What's the ABV on that? Did you say it? You may have, and I just missed it.
I don't think so. I think it's like 7 something.
I can't find 8.7.
8.7.
8.7.
I knew there was a 7 in there.
Smoother than I thought it would be.
Wow, yeah.
A lot smoother than I thought it would be.
The rum really, really tones down the sourness.
Ooh. Oh, man. So I couldn't really perceive pineapple in the nose, but it's there in the flavor. And the pineapple and the coconut mixing together on top of that sour rye character with the encapsulation of that woody tannic note. That is nice.
It's like you get the sourness up front, you get the tinge of the tannin from the oak, and then on the back end it just smooths and mellows out with the little bit of the sweetness from the rum and that coconut coming through too. Yeah. It's just this is very soft and there's
a lot of nice stuff going on in this beer, and wow. Just the way the coconut and the pineapple comes together. And it's kind of like, to me, it's in the middle of each sip. It kind of like rises and falls, and it like starts with the sour, that like lemony sourness with a little bit of the rye spice. Yeah. Then the pineapple and the coconut kind of come up and crescendo at the same time, go down, and then it finishes with that kind of like tannic, woody note.
Woody and a little bit of that like peppery character on the back end too.
Mm. That's a journey, man.
All right, well, that was a great show. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what sells me the most on this beer is the coconut. Yeah. It's not super there.
It's like, sometimes in in a stout you put coconut in there and it's like boom in your face. There's a ton of coconut, almost to the point where it's over the top. This is very relevant. It's there, but it's not overpowering in any way. It just kind of like weaves throughout the beer.
Honestly, that portion of the sip that is the pineapple and the coconut reminds me a lot of my favorite Jelly Belly, the pina colada Jelly Belly, which like those, honestly though, and this sounds kind of stupid, but like those pina colada Jelly Bellies are perfectly done. Like the flavor balance in those things, it's perfect. Obviously, this isn't like sugary to go along with that, but it makes me think about how those flavors come together.
I just love how I was drinking. I had an event earlier tonight, so I was drinking a couple different sours, and like normally with a sour beer, you get that bite. It starts on your tongue and then works its way all the way back to your throat. This starts on your tongue. You get that hit of sourness, but then the coconut and the rum just cover it up and just engulf it, and then like by the time it gets to your throat, it's mellowed out and it's really, really soft and delicate.
So Patrick Rue, how do you get in the Hoarder Society? That's what it was like. How? I was saying to Sean off podcast before we started that I pressed Patrick Rue about how the Hoarder Societies decided last year at Savor when I saw him there, and he was nice guy. He vaguely answered questions. He kind of like tried to be like, well, it's kind of a bunch of stuff. I sensed that he didn't want to go into it a whole lot, so I was just kind of like, all right. But
it's a pretty limited group. Most of the beers that are coming out for the Hoarder Society on the anything on the clean side is pretty much only being made on the pilot brew system. So very, very small batch and. Basically pulling from the best of the best barrel samples for all the sour blending stuff. So, it's a pretty small program. It's pretty much if somebody decides to leave, then a spot opens up. It's not really something that we've been expanding over the years. So it's just kind of invite only from the top. And I couldn't even really tell you what all the
I'd be interested in
characteristics are
what the retention's like for the Hoarder Society, or just like people getting those slots and they're like, as much as I might want to drop it at some point for like monetary reasons, I just feel like
I'm never going to get back to it.
Yeah, because you have to work your way back up the mountain. Yeah. It's just like, why would you at that point? But another thing, and I've actually kind kind of done this a little bit is I know there are people out there who kind of share society memberships. Mm-hmm. So they'll be like, hey, go in halvesies with me and we'll split stuff. Like the first time I was actually introduced to it was the Reserve Society. I had no idea what it was. Some guys were like, hey, come by. We're tasting these beers. Okay. And what they were doing is it was like 4 of these guys, and they just pooled their money, paid for the membership up front, because that's how it works. You get a year's membership, and it includes bottles in that initial. And then each month you get an allocation that is made available to you of like extra beers
stuff you can buy at a discount.
Yeah, exactly. And so what these guys were doing is they were splitting it 4 ways, and then all the included beers they would get together and share together.
Okay.
Everyone got a quarter of the bottle, basically. Yeah. And then past that, everyone could individually order from the allocations each month what they wanted, which was a smart way to do it. So I'm not quite doing that because I still want my membership beers. So, and the people I'm kind of sharing with, I don't see them enough to be able to like hold them and share them with them.
Yeah.
So what I did is I'm just paying up front for the membership, and then I'm like, look, every month I'm going to forward you this email, and you can let me know what you want of the allocations because I don't always use it all, and I'll order for you as well, and you can just pay me back.
Gotcha.
So
yeah,
that's how it goes. But obviously I still share stuff because I like to. And speaking of
part
sharing,
of the fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you very much. This is...
Glad you like it.
I more than like it. I really like it. This is very nice. Rebecca's missing out at the moment. She's upstairs watching the show The Affair.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Sorry. I think it's on Showtime. Showtime or Stars, one of those. But, it's what it sounds like. It's people having affairs, basically, and other craziness, pretty much. So, that's awesome that you have that hoarder. So how many bottles did you get in the hoarder's box?
It was a 12-box case, so 6 different beers, 2 bottles of each, so the 375s. So
I think that's a good way to go.
Have one now, have one later.
I think it's a good way to go with making it 2 of each 375s.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that, Patrick Rue. I like that. I like that a lot.
Wink, wink.
I'm just saying I like it a lot. No, but I've been very much impressed with the way they set up these societies. There have been other societies I've known of. I've actually participated in one. Actually, the glass I'm drinking out of is from the Skull chapter.
Okay.
Through Springhouse Brewing out of Lancaster. They have some good stuff. They really do. They're significantly smaller than the brewery. So they started doing one of these societies, and they started it 3 years ago now, I think. I didn't get in on the first one. It was super limited, and I just didn't. I heard it was really awesome. Then I got in on the second one, but I shared that with a family member. The beers were really good, and I was kicking myself because the way it is like you didn't get access to additional allocations like you do.
This is what it is, and
yeah, it was just like up front, you get 2 bottles of each of these releases.
Gotcha.
And so we were only getting 1 bottle since we shared it. So we would drink it and just be like, it's really good. Now it's gone. This sucks.
Can't ever get that back.
Right. So the last year we did it, which was last year, 2017, we signed up for it and we're like, we're doing a full one on our own. And the other people we shared with were like, yeah, we want to do our own because it was really good. And then the wheels came off a little bit. The beers are still good. I don't think they're as good.
Okay.
And the other thing is they took a long time to get our beers to us. Where when I was initially in it, they got you, it was 8 beers. They got you the 8 beers within that year's span. This time it took a year and 4 months.
Okay.
To get you all 8 beers, and there was a large stint of time where you weren't getting any for many, many, many months, and it wasn't staggered.
So definitely, there's always growing pains when you're starting something like that. I mean, it's a pretty complicated process coordinating all the different members, and I know we've changed around the rules a little bit on how people can get their beers and how opening up the DC store and the time frame on things. Just learning as we go, and I think we've had some some hiccups in the past, but I think it's a pretty smooth machine these days. Seems like it's going pretty well.
No, it's definitely going well for me because you have that kind of distribution center in a sense in DC where people can pick up their stuff.
Absolutely. So it used to be you could ship to anywhere in California or pick up from the brewery in California, and that was it. So being able to have a spot on the East Coast now where people can come down from New York, Philly, Baltimore,
it's awesome.
Anywhere up and down the East Coast, it makes it much more accessible. So
way better. And they just changed the rules too, because before it was like there's like a cutoff each month where you need to let them know by that certain date that you want your allocation sent from California out to DC, and then it'll be available, but you have to pick it up within a 30-day window. I'm like, man, that's tricky. But they just recently changed it because I heard they got more space down there. So they're just automatically sending everything that people order now, and you can pick it up whenever, and there's no day restriction on when you have to show up, and now it's like super nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Plus, Sean's been a bro for me. He's actually been like, I'm actually there, so I can be your trustee and pick them up for you. And I'm like, oh my God, that saves me so much in gas.
I'm at the store at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times. So
yeah. Well, if you're around for another episode, we can talk more about the brewery, because I feel like I kind of hijacked that with talking about society stuff, because as people can probably tell, I'm pretty passionate about the Brewery Society. Right, yeah. Patrick? I'm pretty passionate about the society there, Patrick Rue. Just letting you know. He podcasts too, by the way, people. There is a brewery podcast.
Yeah,
look for Brewery.
It's been a couple months since we've had one come out, but we've got, I think there's about 12 or 15 episodes, something like that out there. So it's pretty cool. That was, as I was going through the interview process, it was very insightful to be able to listen to the founder talk about the insides of the industry and how they come about creating a beer and where the concepts come from, talking to people who inspired some of his ideas, and it was a pretty neat insight behind, kind of peek behind the curtains.
Yep. I'd like to think that I influenced Patrick to do that show because it happened to come out. He happened to start doing it not all that long after I talked to him at Savor, and I was like, "Here's my card. I do a craft beer podcast." So
he told me the other day. He was like, "Yeah,
yeah." I'm sure that's not what it is, but in my mind, I'm like, that should be what it is. So anyway, we can talk some more later, and let's do mystery beers. That
sounds great.
Some time for you.
I have not done a straight up mystery beer show in quite a while. I'm excited.
When was the last time? Like in your?
Well, I guess you said 91 would have been the last episode, but I don't. Man,
what year was that?
I don't even
remember. At least 2 years ago.
I don't even remember what.
I think you were on a tournament though after 91, like in the hundreds somewhere.
I think at one point we did a couple extra episodes after recording a tournament, so I don't even know if I would have remembered the next day what that episode was about.
So actually the last tournament you were on, Mike Johnzak was here too. And that was the first time you guys had ever met each other. And that was a bad night. Like, it was a great night for me, but then after you guys left, it was a bad night for me because one of the beers that was left, I felt obligated to finish it, and
it'd just be wrong.
It was high. It was 16%, and it was a 750. Actually, it was a brewery beer, to be honest.
We were bad friends to leave you like that.
It was the Blue Bubbles.
Oh, okay.
Which is I think it's Black Tuesday mixed with
blueberries.
Blueberries, yeah. And it was a good beer. You can listen to the podcast; it's back there somewhere. But I just kept hitting it because we were chatting, and when you talk with people and drink beer, it just goes down a lot quicker. And when you guys left, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I'm hammered. This is not going to be good. I felt terrible the next day. Terrible.
I'm very sorry.
It was a good night and a bad night at the same time. So the brewery ties into a lot of my stories, actually, as you can tell. Did you hear that, Patrick? Did you hear that? Anyway,
I feel like he's going to have 18 emails before the end of the night tonight from you.
Yeah. Well, if I have too much beer, I'll just be like, Patrick, what's going on, man? All right. So mystery beers. Have you done blind tasting in your normal life outside of the podcast?
Yes. Yeah.
You do?
Every now and then it's good. If we ever think that there's, actually, when I was out in California for training, part of the training process that I went through was sitting in on one of the beer panels.
Oh, awesome! That's
so
cool.
I think it's every Tuesday out there. They have a panel team that comes in early in the morning and sits down, and our lab team will pretty much just set them all up with blind samples. I think you get, I can't remember how many it is now, but it's like 4 to 6 different samples that you taste through, and
wow.
They've got a couple different characteristics that we're watching for specifically.
Yeah.
And then, but it's always the same for every beer, so that you don't get really any insight on what the tasting panel is actually looking for.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just testing shelf stability of all right, this beer's been sitting for 3 months. This beer's been sitting for 9 months. Like how is it changing over time? Sometimes there are specific things they're looking for. If somebody thought there might be an issue with it, we do a lot of testing before we even release the beers out to market. Since most of our beers, other than offshoot, most of our stuff isn't really hop forward. It's not a rush to get the beer to market as soon as possible. So it allows us to sit on beers for a little while after we package them and make sure that there aren't any off flavors that are coming up in between when we pulling it out of the barrel and capping it off.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of things that they check for, and but that's all completely blind. So that was a fun experience to be a part of, and it was pretty humbling to hear how the people that have been trained to do that for years are able to like really pick apart and dissect a beer.
Well, now's your chance to do it again. Refresh yourself on this. I'll give the disclaimer. Obviously, you can do whatever you want with the ratings. Rebecca oftentimes does. She's like, I'm going to do my own thing. But for me, I'll usually put a 3 on a beer that I'm just like, that's a fine beer. It's fine.
It's brutal battle, man.
It is, yeah. But do what you want, like I said. All right, so the first beer, these look pretty different. The first one looks yellowish, orangish, little hazy.
Mm-hmm.
Little hazy.
Yeah, I'd say.
Not much head, but it has been sitting for a little bit.
It's not like anything like floating in it, like a
No.
chunky. I don't even know if I'd say maybe New England style, but I don't know. It just looks very just hazy. It's like a hazy wild, like saison or just a really unfiltered pale ale.
Well, it smells good. It smells very good. Lots of citrus. Mango?
I was gonna say I get like a hay character, like a softer malt character in there, but definitely lots of. I mean, that's kind of on the back end. Definitely lots of citrus as well.
Yeah, that hay is there, but yeah, it's just like this little note just on the end of every sniff.
When the very first sniff I got, that was the first thing that I picked up. But then I swirl it around a little bit and try and get it. They've been sitting on the table for a little while, so just trying to get some more bubbles coming up through the beer.
True.
And then it's much more citrus forward.
I feel like I get a decent amount of mango.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because I didn't pick it up until you said that, but that was right around the time I started swirling too.
I feel like I get a touch of peach as well. It smells really nice though.
Definitely some kind of stone fruit in there.
Oh, you said the magic word. I hate that. You probably don't know. I hate stone fruit. I hate it. I've gone on a diatribe about it. Like, technically, an olive is stone fruit. So, and a cherry stone fruit, and peach, and yeah. Plus, there's a very particular beer podcast out there that loves to throw stone fruit out there all the time. Okay. And I'm just like, stop it now. I don't really listen to that.
We'll call it mango then.
Yeah.
We'll go back to mango.
You got it. There is a little bit of like a sugary sweetness that I smell in there that kind of carries throughout. It's not crazy.
Okay.
But a little something that comes off as sugary sweetness. But it smells like it's a New England style, most likely. Could be wrong. Oh, there's like almost no bitterness, so yeah.
Yeah.
Super light body.
Mm-hmm. It fades away very quickly on the palate. Very, very light. But, I don't know. I still get a lot of that fruit character up front. A little bit on the sweeter side up front, but it's not cloying in any way. It doesn't linger around. Not much bitterness at all, like you said.
There's a little bit of an astringency that's sticking around, though, at the end of each sip. That's a little weird to me. It is thin. Like you're saying, it kind of falls off kind of quick. I do get a little bit of that sweetness I was saying I was smelling. There's a decent tropicality. I am getting that mango. I don't know about the peach I was saying I was getting.
I always get like a... picking up something that might be like part of some type of character coming from the yeast. I don't know if it's a farmhouse.
Okay. I can see that.
Like a hazy farmhouse pale ale combination. I don't know.
It could be that.
Get a little you were talking about the astringency, like a little funkiness on the back end there.
Yeah, I agree totally. And the more I sip it, the more I think that it's starting to turn into like a very light orange flavor in there. It's easy. I like it. I don't think it's the most amazing thing, but then again, I haven't been huge on the New England style IPAs. For me, I want more body. I want that actual like bitter bite at the end. But for what I'm assuming this is, it's decent.
I don't know. I actually like when it comes to like New England IPAs. I like very, very low bitterness on those. Just if I'm going for it, I want to go all in and just get that rich juiciness. But I do like more body in it.
Yes.
This I get a little, like I said, a little of that funky, almost farmhouse character on the back end. There's a ton of fruit in this up front. Like it hits you in the face with the fruit. I don't know if that's hops or if it's really some type of fruit added. Like in the aroma, I get much more mango. In the flavor, I'm picking up. It comes across a little bit more peachy. I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's a beer that I had not too long ago. I want to say it was Breckenridge makes a peach pale ale or peach wheat. I don't know, a light bodied style. It's similar to this.
Okay,
but I can't remember.
I mean,
or maybe what did I say? Peach? Might be mango. I can't remember. It's a yellowish orange fruit.
Putting all sorts of fruits in beers these days. I did finish what I had, so that's not a bad statement. Yeah, I mean it's pretty solid. I'm cool with it. I'll have to think about what I want to do number wise.
I don't know. As I'm drinking it, like I think I liked it more on my first sip than I am now, as I'm most of the way through it. It's something. It's kind of some of the flavors are starting to linger a little bit more on my palate, and I think I liked it better when it was just a very cleaner
wash.
Finish. Yeah.
All right, we'll think about what we want to put on A, but let's look at B. B's looks
that's very different.
B looks like orangey brown.
Yeah.
Orangish brownish. I don't see much of any head to it.
And like a rusty color to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely like rusty nail water. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it doesn't smell or taste like that, but that smells good.
That's a nice...
That smells good.
Yeah, definitely a lot of acidity coming through on there. This is definitely sour.
So...
like an Oud Bruin style.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Sour brown. Oud Bruin. Yes. Because I get that slight cola smell. I always get like at least a slight cola smell when it's an Oud Bruin. That smells good. It's kind of like an aggressive sour.
I don't know. I don't drink a lot of soda. I had actually one of the sours I was sampling somebody on the other day. They said that they picked up a cola quality to it.
Oh, okay. And was it a brewery sour? Mm-hmm. Do you remember which one it was?
It was one of our blends. I don't remember offhand which one it was now.
That's interesting. I feel like I get a slight cherry. It's like a slight cherry peeking through in each sniff. Definitely cola, though.
Real cherries, not like a cocktail cherry.
Oh, yeah. Like real cherry.
Yeah, the amount... or some of the sour cherries.
Yeah. I can see that. If I keep smelling it long enough, I feel like I almost get like a mixture mixed in with everything else, a little bit of a brown sugar, like a brown sugar hint going on in there, which I'm assuming would come from the malt.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like a sweet character, but like a little bit of like caramelization, I guess. I think it's the brown sugar, caramelized sugar.
It was roughing up my mouth, though. I will say that. Woo.
I'm going to go ahead and take a sip.
Ooh. That sourness is aggressive.
Whoa.
Like, aggressive. It gives me, at least the first few sips, because you're just not used to that level of sour, it gives me a little bit of like an acetone note that's a little offensive, to be honest.
I picked up on a little bit of that, like, the cherry, like, caramelized malt quality, like, right up front.
Yeah.
But then it was just over the top sour, and it just kind of washed over the rest of my palate. I think that's, talking about the one we were trying earlier, how the sourness got kind of covered up and it finished soft and smooth. This definitely goes all the way back down your throat with sourness.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to take a little while of trying to get used to that before we'll be able to pick up more.
I get kind
flavor
of
through the rest of the
a
palate.
little bit of like a plum flavor in there too, though, and it's not just like the actual fruit of the plum; it's the combination of the plum fruit, a little bit of the plum fruit, but mainly the skin. You know how the skin's got some tartness to it, and it is kind of tannic. I feel like I get that. This is harsh though.
That's a very, very, very acidic sour. It's
I taste things I like. I taste a lot of things I like.
There's some underlying notes on there that I think, like, the more I would drink this, how you start to adapt and your palate adjusts to the sourness level, and then you can start picking out some more of those underlying characteristics. But it's definitely one you gotta work at a little bit to get through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I do like, but yeah, the sourness is very aggressive. But my palate's not adjusting. I've taken enough sips, and my it's not adjusting. And I think it's even further than that. The sourness is so much, like you were saying, it goes all the way back. Every sip, it's just burning my esophagus just about.
That last sip I took, I feel like I'm starting to get over the acidity a little bit. I mean, it's still very aggressive, like a vinegar type sour.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna need an antacid after this. And
I see what you're saying about like the skins of the fruit. Definitely get that.
As I keep going, I'm also getting like a bit of like an unctuousness. Like it's kind of a little mushroomy. Like a little umami mushroom type.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is interesting. There's a lot going on in this.
I think I feel like I'm picking up more fruit qualities coming through, like dark red fruit flavors coming through. I don't know. These beers are going in two different directions for me. The first one, the more I drank it, the less I liked it. This one, I think I'm warming up to it as we're going through.
Yeah, I do like it, but I also like that harshness, that sour harshness.
It was a shock to the system up front.
Yeah. But as I keep going, like I'm saying, like I'm having a hard time adjusting. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm starting to get like some leathery notes on there.
Yeah, I can see that. So the cherry, there is cherry in there, but the cherry is like, have you had like those really dark cherries that are kind of just more like deep, dark, kind of like not necessarily sweet, but not tart at all? Those types of cherries.
Okay.
I'm getting like that type of flavor.
I feel like I'm starting to pick up the sourness aside. I'm starting to get flavors of like a really, really nice old fashioned. Where I'm starting to get the oaky qualities are coming through a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a bourbon flavor, but you definitely that dark cherry quality. I
can see
like I said before, that leather flavor that you would associate with some nice bourbons. I'm getting a little bit of that, maybe a little bit of tobacco flavor coming through.
I could definitely see it. That's a good comparison.
This one's really changed. I've definitely changed my tune on this one from the first sip. It was very aggressive and harsh up front, but now I feel like I'm starting to pull out a little bit more complexity to it, and I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, for me, I want that sourness to be brought into check, and then I'd like this a lot.
Feels a little bit more balanced.
As it is, I finished what I had. I liked it, but I can't say I would get it again because it's too much of a bear to handle. You take that sourness down, I'd get it again for sure, and I'd sip that all night. So I'll go ahead and take the lead on the numbers. I'm going to do a 3 on A, and I'm going to do a 4 on B. Now, I would definitely go a 5, or I honestly, I think I might even be able to go with like a 6 on this beer if that sourness is a lot less. But because of that sourness, it's throwing some things off kilter. It's making it hard to actually enjoy it. But there's a lot of really good stuff going on there. So, I'm going to do a 4. I was between a 3 and a 4. Trying to figure out how badly that sourness is affecting me, but I give it 4.
I don't think I'm too far off from you. I think this is Brutal Battle, so
yeah,
do it. The first one, I just did a palate cleanse and went back to it, and I don't know, it's warmed up a little bit, but it's still within temperature range I would think is appropriate for that beer. There's some flavors lingering around in there that I'm really not that big of a fan of on the back end. The fruit is bright but quick up front, and then I get this just kind of strange funkiness on the back end that's not really jiving with me tonight. And it could be a combination of some of the other things that I've been drinking. I'm probably going to go with 2 on that one.
Okay.
And then the second one, I really did start to like some of the characteristics that are coming through on the back end of that beer. But it is, again, like we've said the whole time, it's still very aggressively sour. It's not really in check. I think if there was a little bit more balance on that, I think this could very easily be a 6 or a 7 for me. But I'm between a 4 and a 5, and I usually like the aggressive sour beers, but this is it's pretty intense.
Aggressive.
I think I'm gonna go a 4.
Okay, that's cool. So B is the winner, overall 4, and A the loser, overall 2.5. So let's go ahead and reveal A first. In a 16-ounce can, Council Brewing, their Hazing Cane Double Dry Hopped IPA, 6.6% alcohol, and they're out of San Diego, California. I like Council.
Okay.
I had their... dang. What was their... They had
one other beer
IPA
from them that was... I saw... I think I grabbed one from Wine World a couple months ago. It was pretty good.
It was in a can?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that one too. It was like blue and purple.
Yep.
Yeah, I had the same one. That's what I was trying to remember what it was, because that was pretty solid. In the Blind, I think is what it was called.
Okay.
I think it was called In the Blind. That was pretty solid. I think we had it on the shelf episode on the podcast, actually. But they are really good with their fruited tart saisons.
Okay.
Their whole line of fruited tart saisons are really good. I highly recommend those. 750 milliliter only. So
this one just, I don't know, something. Wasn't crazy about this one. I really thought that there was going to be some type of fruit infusion in here. I mean, I didn't. The amount of fruit character I was getting up front, I didn't think that was just from the hops. But it was, it's definitely that West Coast style. Finishes very dry, very light. Like we were saying, there's no malt backbone at all, so it's just kind of, I don't know. I'm surprised though that there's not more bitterness coming through in here it's all dry hopping. I don't know what the IBUs are on this, but
yeah, it seems like they were going the New England style route. So
looking for a date on the can, but I do not see one.
Oh, okay. So This might be the one. Rebecca did inform me that when she went to the liquor store and she was looking at beers, she said, one of the beers you'll have is hoppy and there's no date on it.
Okay.
But know that I verified because I found the pack that it came from and it was on the pack.
Okay.
So she's like, it's within like a month or so. So
I mean, there's a ton of fruit coming through from the hops. I don't know what hops they used on there. So, but yeah, there was very little bitterness. So definitely towards that newer New England style, but with a West Coast body.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's find out what the winner is overall of 4, and we have more of it in a small. I kind of thought it might be this brewery, just because it reminded the smell of the beer reminded a little bit of their James and Julia. It's Allagash Brewing, and it is their Avance or Avance ale aged in bourbon barrels and finished on strawberries.
Interesting. Okay.
And it is 9.7%. So yeah, I love Allagash. We're going.
So I guess that's where the pieces that reminded me of an old fashioned. You get the bourbon barrels in there.
Yeah. Oh, totally. So you were right on.
I wasn't picking up on any actual bourbon character, but there's things that I definitely associate very closely with bourbon. So it's kind of funny how your mind will play tricks on you a little bit when you're doing it blind. So
this is 2 years old.
Okay.
In the bottle, 2 years old.
Yeah.
Because it was bottled on July 14th, 2016. So that's going to be part of why it's, tasting different than you might assume. So
I just took a sniff of it again, and it's just like, oh, duh, yeah, that's definitely strawberries.
Right. That happens definitely strawberries. That happens all the time with the.
That's what we're trying to figure out that cherry character. It's not often that you get strawberries in a sour beer. I haven't seen that a whole lot, and usually strawberries are very light on the character that you put through it. So to have that much fruit, I wonder what pounds per barrel of strawberries they're using.
Well, also for it to hold up that long. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. I don't know. Interesting. All right. Well, those were pretty interesting. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
I still have to say my favorite beer on the table is this Hoarders Society beer. I mean, that's pretty magical. When we stop recording, Rebecca's got to get a little bit of this.
Absolutely.
She'll be like, "What show I was watching? I just want to be with this beer right now."
She's gonna have an affair on her show.
Yeah, there you go with a brewery beer. You hear that, Patrick Rue? You hear that? Family Rue? I don't know. Not so family, huh?
Hey.
All right. Well,
they treat me like family.
All right, that's what I hear. So thank you so much, Sean, for being on. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time,
keep it brutal.
This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.